everyone. Hope you guys had a great July 4th holiday. We still had a fairly good turnout last week that I heard, despite the fact it was a holiday. But now we're all back to work, and I've got up here our typical disclaimer, which again I won't belabor, but the general message is that the information that we're going to show you today is for educational purposes only. And just be aware that we don't make actual trade recommendations. So today's topic, we're very excited to announce today a new addition to Bloodhound version 1.05A, which was released earlier this week. And those of you that, by the way, just downloaded 1.05, just be aware that it has been patched. There was a tiny issue there with the strategies. So make sure if you're experiencing any issues running the strategies and then you see maybe a crash or something like that, just download the patch. Just basically just go to our website, and it's the same link. It should be 1.05A that you see. So today's topic is automated trading using Bloodhound, and this is something that we're very excited to announce. Again, it's been a huge demand. Just what every customer that we've seen come in and say, hey, can you take your automated Bloodhound templates and your logic and whatever and actually just trade it automatically? And we've always sort of said, well, yeah, you can, but you have to sort of fiddle around a little bit with the ninja scripting, and we have a couple examples on our website. So there was a couple of steps involved there, and naturally, for those of you that aren't into coding NinjaScript or whatever, or even just installing, example, NinjaScript codes, that was sort of a barrier. So we finally decided to just build it right in. And now, just right out of the box, you can download Bloodhound, create a template, and specify your entries, and immediately begin automated trading with it using what we call SI Raven. So today, we are going to go over SI Raven, what exactly it is, how to instantiate it, and how to use it for automated trading. And we're also going to show you how to use SI Raven in a backtesting mode using NinjaTrader's built-in strategy analyzer. And finally, if we got some time left over, we're going to go over some of the code examples that we did have on there before. For those of you that are need to customize your trade management even further than what SI Raven has got, and can't wait for Falcon to come out, which is going to be our next product that does more advanced trade management. You can certainly code up your own trade management using using SI Bloodhound strategy. So before we begin, I just want to get a little bit of feedback from you guys. We're just going to make this kind of a habit from now on to do this, just so that we can, better ourselves and increase the feedback loop between you customers and even trial members looking to use Bloodhound, so we can improve the product. So the first thing I want to ask you guys is what your level of trading is. So you should see a poll up there, and let me just make sure we actually do have. Okay, perfect. So we got the poll coming in here. So I got a couple questions just to start off our day here. So the vast majority of you guys would consider yourselves intermediate, and if you don't feel bad if none of you, if we have master up there as a level, but honestly, I don't think any of us has ever seen anyone use or click master. I don't think anyone can really call themselves a master of the markets. I mean, if you were at that level, if the theoretical level, you'd be making so much money without even having to work for it, that you'd be like richer than Bill Gates. Okay, so other thing I want to ask you guys before we start off today is the NinjaTrader Strategy Analyzer. So if you've heard of it and if you've used it, just go ahead and click yes. If you haven't, we're going to sort of introduce that today as well. But I would also recommend as well, if you haven't used NinjaTrader Strategy Analyzer, there's also some great resources on NinjaTrader's site which allows you to, which will show you the ins and outs of NinjaTrader's strategy analyzer. So we're just going to go over the sort of basics, very basics of strategy analyzer. But if you want more information, NinjaTrader actually has some tremendous resources with their strategy analyzer. Okay, so looks like the vast majority of you, have said that, not the vast majority, but the majority of you said that you haven't used strategy analyzer but would like to. Okay, so you are familiar what it is and what it exactly can do for you. Okay, this is the last question before we launch into our webinar, and this again is just to get a feel for what you want. We're always kind of putting these questions out there to. Oh, and by the way, you can check kind of all the answers that you'd like to that apply. But what we're trying to do here is figure out what the best emphasis for us for the next development direction is. So what we're looking here is some. Let me just clarify here. So we have, I want to buy pre-made systems, or I want to sell trading systems that I make. Those two kind of refer to the idea that some of the Bloodhound templates and Bloodhound logic entries that you're creating. Imagine if you had the ability to buy or to sell such systems, kind of off the shelf, and you'd naturally sort of envision if you were to use them as a starting point. So I'm not necessarily referring to something like a black box trading system necessarily. I mean, it is kind of black box to the degree that you would maybe start from someone else's system. But imagine you could shop for a bunch of systems that are pre-existing and then try them out and perhaps add your own filters to them or enhance them in some way to suit your needs better. So that is kind of the motivation behind those questions there. Okay, thanks a lot for those answers. Okay, so let me close this. And all right, I think we're ready to go here. So I'm going to switch it over to Zach here, and he's going to take over and get on with the first part, which is showing you SI Raven.
All right, welcome everybody. I see a lot of names that I recognize and a couple that I don't. So, well, I wiped out my charts here, blanked out my charts just so I can kind of start from the beginning. Just for those of you who aren't all that familiar with running a strategy and also with, I guess, loading up chart templates. So when we do post this workshop, the chart templates will be available, and so will the Bloodhound templates as well. So what I have, so I have two charts here, this chart and this chart, that I'm going to load strategies onto and run them. And then these other smaller charts are just for the conveniences so that we can see the profit target and the stop. And I'll get into more detail with that in just a moment here. So, so what we're going to post, when this webinar is posted up on the website, I'll post these chart templates. So I'm going to get this first one loaded. And so this chart template will load up the indicators that are used, and it'll load up Bloodhound. And it loads up the Bloodhound chart template as well. So, and let me turn off global crosshairs. Okay, so first thing I'm going to profile is SI Raven, which is kind of today's main theme is SI Raven. And then with time allowing, I'm going to show some of the other strategies that we have up on the website, the ones that you have to download and install. And depending on how much time we have, I'll just go through all, because we have a couple of different strategies posted on the website that you have to manually download and install in Administrator. So, all right. So for SI Raven, so I have everything on my chart ready to go, and to get a strategy running, right-click on the chart and go to Strategies. And so if you have Bloodhound version 105, you will see SI Raven in your strategy window now. So I'm going to double click on it and add it down to the bottom here. And then the next step is the template. Here is, this is to load up your Bloodhound template. So when I click in this box here, a button pops up. I can click on that button, and then you'll see the familiar Bloodhound window pops up. So I can click on File, and you can see here's all the Bloodhound templates that I have. And way down here, I can click on the scroll bar down here, scroll down, and here is the name of the template that I have. And you'll see I have a naming convention going here. So the training workshops like today, start with training workshop, and whenever we do tips and tricks videos, you'll see the tips and tricks in the file name, and then another file naming convention is SIG, short for signal. So if you see SIG, that's kind of a pre-made signal that we'll post up on the website. And these aren't fully automated trading systems by any means. These are just kind of starters to get you going, so you can start playing around with Bloodhound. And who knows? Maybe you guys might be able to take one of these as kind of your starting point and make it a winning system. But right now, it is just a starting point. So, all right. So I'm going to load up the stochastic MA. This was a previous example we had done, I believe, last month as a question that came in for one of our workshops a while back, and it gave quite a few signals. So I thought it was a good system to use, because it should be, hopefully it'll fire off quite a few signals during this workshop. So I did kind of add my own twist to it. I added this permissive here. So on the 5-minute chart, what this comparison solver is doing is it's comparing the closing price to the EMA 55, and so when price is above the EMA, it restricts all the trades to longs only, and if the closing price is below the EMA, it restricts all the trades to shorts only. Okay, so I have the Bloodhound template loaded here, and the next step is if you have a logic template defined. Here, actually, let me go back into the Bloodhound window, and I'll show you. So if you have a logic template, this particular system doesn't have a logic template defined. Oh, I'm sorry, wait. Oh, yes, it does. All right, so one of them doesn't. All right, so there's this logic template defined for the entries for this system. All right, so from there, all right, so I found this. I'm going to click OK. And then so for the entry logic, I want to select the one that I called entry. And so the strategy is going to be using that logic template. And if I have an exit logic template, so in other words, let me back up to the Bloodhound's window. So I could have a logic template defined for entries, and that's all I have here. But I could create a logic template that defines exit points as well. And so if I did have that, I could specify that exit logic template here. So I would set this to true, and then you can see here it says exit logic, and I could set this to the name of that template. However, this only has an entry. And most of these systems, I believe they work a little better if you change the threshold to 0.9. In other words, it kind of tightens up the fuzzy logic requirements for the signal to occur. All right, and so for this particular system, I'm going to set a fixed profit target and a fixed stop loss. So you can see here in the measurement units, there's percentage, there's price, and then there's ticks. I'm sure most people, this is going to be the most widely used ticks. All right, so I'm just going to set a simple 15 tick profit and 12 tick stop loss, and I'm just kind of picking these random. I don't know what would work best on this system. And then at the same time, I'm going to trail the stop loss as well. And so with any luck, if we get a signal during the workshop, the signal will show up in this chart over here in the upper right, and you'll see the profit target, and you'll see the stop loss trailing as well. And I'm going to change my account. I made one for Bloodhound. You don't have to. Using the SIM 101 that comes with Ninja is just fine. And the next step is to enable it. I'll set that to true. And you know, as far as the rest of these settings, these are all NinjaTrader settings. So I would, if you have questions about these, I would refer you back to NinjaTrader's help documentation, or better yet, NinjaTrader has great webinars. They do webinars every day for different components of their system. And they also have a YouTube channel. So if you're kind of new to running strategies, I'd recommend going to NinjaTrader's YouTube channel, and you can view their recorded training webinars up there, and they will go over all the different settings for setting up your strategy. So, but the two sections up here are from Bloodhound. So the Bloodhound and then the trade management. These sections come from Bloodhound. Everything from the general down is what comes from NinjaTrader. All right, so last thing, make sure that this is enabled, and pretty much accepting the defaults is pretty standard. And hit OK. So now you'll notice there's two copies or two instances of Bloodhound on here. So one of them was on the chart already when I loaded the chart template. So one of them is just an indicator on the chart. The other one, the lower one, was loaded from the strategy. Now if I wanted to, I could delete this one. If So I no longer need it. And then this one here is running from the strategy. And what I can do is if I go into the indicator window, I can see that the bloodhound that's left, you'll notice that all of the various parameters are missing. The only thing you see here are just the lines and the plots. So that tells you that it's this instance of bloodhound was called from the strategy that's being run. So in a nutshell, that's pretty much how easy it is to set up SI Raven. And so now, let's see. You can see your trades historically. I just need to turn that on. So I guess I don't have this set in the chart template. So what I did is I went into the data series window. So let me back up here. There's two ways you can do it. You can either double click on a bar, or of course you can right click on the chart and go to data series. And then down here in the trades, you need to, if you want to plot the executions, you need to turn that on, enable that. And because I'm running black charts, I'm going to lighten this blue color up a little bit. And I'm going to lighten the line that it draws. Okay, there. So now you can see the historical executed trades. Let me just expand this real quick. All right. So we can look through and we can kind of quickly see how our trades did. So if you see a green line, that means it tells you that you made some profit. If you see a red dotted line, that means that was a little loser. There was a little profit. And okay, so it's kind of hard to see the line there, but that was a loser for, I don't know, about 7 ticks. And you can just scroll back and kind of look at how your system did. So we got a little winner there, a little loser, and pretty decent winner, and offset by the same loser. So this is just a good way to get your feet wet in trying to build your own strategy here. Wow, look at that, 2 winners in a row. That was nice. And a little loser. All right, so you can visually see your trades on the chart. Now, if you want to look at the statistics of your system, you can right-click on the chart, and you'll see now you have strategy performance, and then you can, and then this tells you which strategy you have on the chart. So we have SI Raven, and then I can go through and I can look at historical and real time. So I click on that. It's going to build the performance, and here it is. So now we can look at the historical statistics. And as we can see, so I only have 2 days on my chart. And so, however many days on my chart is however many days will show up in this statistics report. And we can see, just off the bat, this one, just a simple system. It isn't doing all that good. Who knows, maybe adjusting the profit and stop loss targets might help it. So, but, so this report here is, if you look, for those of you who are familiar with the strategy analyzer, which For those who are familiar with the strategy analyzer, you'll see that this report is the same. It has all the same tabs up here, so you can go through and analyze it, as the strategy analyzer. So it's just two different ways of doing essentially the same thing. So there are some conveniences with the strategy analyzer, and I will be going over that here in a little bit later. So, right, so let's see, we're down. So historically, we're down to 18 bucks, 19 bucks. So to kind of give you a quick overview, let's go through and modify the strategy. And see if we can improve its performance any. So I'm in the strategy window, and you need to select your strategy. And the first thing we're going to have to do is disable it. So I double-clicked on it, right? So you just set this to false, and then you have to hit apply. And so that disables it. And then you can go in here and change these settings. So let's bump that up to 20 and see if that makes an improvement. So once you've made your changes, you need to go back through and enable it. And then you click OK. And then all the trades are updated. And then I can go back through and run a strategy performance. And no, it didn't look like setting more profit helped. So, what a bummer. So, all right. Okay, so that's running your strategy on a chart, and hopefully the TF will do something and give us some trades. You know, it looks like oil's pretty active here. So let me run the same system on oil here. So maybe hopefully we can get some real-time trades running during this workshop. So I'm going to load up another signal that I have. And there you go, volume oscillator divergence. All right, and there's a few signals. Okay, good. All right, so I have the chart loaded with all my indicators on it, and Bloodhound's already set up. You can see the Bloodhound, at least on the chart, is set up. And you'll see this template here, this Bloodhound template doesn't have any logic templates. All right, so let me add SI Raven to the chart. And we'll load up the Bloodhound template. So there's the template. And there we go, we have it loaded. And as I showed you before, there's no logic template with this one. So there's no logic template, so I can leave this as it is, set to none. And because there's no logic template, I like to set my thresholds on this particular system pretty tight. That way it makes sure that all of the solvers that are a part of this template, they all have to be essentially true. They all have to be given a signal. And so I'm going to set my measurement units once again to ticks, and I'll just set this to 15 and 10, and I'll trail my stop. Once again, I'm going to set my count to Bloodhound, and you can leave it on Sim 101, but I use my Sim 101 for something else. That's why I don't want to use it here. And then the next step is to enable it, and I'm just going to accept all the default settings down here, and let's hit OK. And so you can see that once again there's two instances of Bloodhound on the chart. So this upper one, well, let's just say the lower one, the more newer one, is going to be from the strategy. And the way I can find that out is I can double click on one of them, and I can see this one. I can see it gives me the option to change the template, but this other one down here on the bottom of the list, you can see it doesn't give me the option to load a template. So that tells me that this is the one that was loaded on your chart from the strategy. And if you want to, it's okay to run both of them at the same time. So say you're trying to improve your system, right? So you can run both of these in tandem, and what you can do is you can the one that's not a part of the strategy, it's going to be typically it's going to be the first button, the button on the left here. This one over here, the second Bloodhound button, this one typically will be from the strategy. So if you're running both, if you're running your strategy and you're trying to find some improvements, you can actually click on the Bloodhound button there, and you can bring up the Bloodhound window, and you can actually modify this in real time while your strategy is running, and you can try and fine tune it. Now, if you're running live, if you're running on a live account, I really wouldn't recommend messing around with your chart. If you're running this on a live account, just the nature of computers, I just would not recommend it. But if you're simulating and you're just trying to fine-tune your system, then you can go in here, change your solvers, add solvers, whatever you need to do, and to try and fine-tune your trading system. All right, let me kind of explain what I have over here. So these are, it's just a blank chart, nothing on it, and I turned on the chart trader. So you can see this arrow here is the chart trader. So I enabled this, and I also set, this one set to the TF and the TF. I set the bar types the same. So that way, if this Bloodhound, if it takes a trade over here, you'll see the trade will show up. You'll see your profit and stop targets will show up on this chart. So it's kind of a workaround to having the chart trader show you where your stop and target is. Because you can't run, you can see the chart trader button here is disabled, and that's because we're running a strategy on the chart. You can't have them both running at the same time. So you can just create yourself a small empty chart with the chart trader turned on, and hopefully we'll get a trade here, and you can see what I'm talking about. And just going to check some settings here. All right, so This chart will mark the trades as they come in. And so will that chart. Okay, good. And yeah, so this chart is only going to show, real-time live trades on this chart. The chart that has the strategy running is the only chart that will show you the historical trades. And so we can see that we're not seeing any historical trades on this chart. So I'm going to go into the data series and make sure that's turned on. Yep. Okay. And that's turned off. So let's set it to text and marker. I'm going to change the color so it's a little easier to see. There, now we can see the historical trades that took place here. And once again, if I wanted to see how it did historically, I can go on to the strategy performance and bring up a performance report. And, pretty typical of a simple system. Not a winner. So, all right, I see there's some questions coming in, and Jeremy's doing a good job of answering them for you. All right, so Anna, let's see, on the CL chart, you can activate the text to marker setting under the data series settings. Yes, that is correct. So, so go to the data series. And down here in the trades section, it's this right here, plot executions. So you can turn them off, you can put markers only, or you can actually draw the text and the markers. The text being, that's saying buy at, and it tells you the price that it bought at. Once again, if you want more education on this, I would refer you back to NinjaTrader's workshops that they have every day, live workshops where you can ask them questions during the workshop. And they also have a YouTube channel so you can watch recorded ones for training. All right, so now I kind of showed you, how to set your strategy up on a chart. And next, I'm going to essentially show you the same thing, but with the strategy analyzer. So let me pull that up. Okay. Now the advantage of using the strategy analyzer is you can see I have an instrument list, and it shows, it has a whole bunch of instruments listed here. And so with the strategy analyzer, I can quickly analyze my strategy on all these different instruments. And you can also run your strategy on a basket of instruments. Like I could just select the whole list. I could select the list name and run it on there. So once again, this is a NinjaTrader feature. This is not a part of Bloodhound, it's part of NinjaTrader. So, for better education, I recommend you attend NinjaTrader's workshop to get better acquainted with this and educated on this. So, all right. So I'm going to run this on the CL. So I'm going to select my instrument first, and then over here you see this little tab says backtest. So when I hover the mouse over it, you can see this slider pops out, and from here it has all the list of your strategies that you have loaded into NinjaTrader, and you'll have Raven on there, so we can select the strategy. And so, running through all this is exactly how we did it on the chart. So I need to load up a template. So let me scroll down to the list of signals, and let me pick, I have another, this is just a very simple crossover. I designed this just to give a whole bunch of traits, just to give a whole bunch of signals. It's not really a good system. So, all right. And so it's simply just looking for price to cross over an EMA, and then it uses the TMA as kind of its stopping point, and that will exit the trade. So this particular system, it's an example that shows an entry logic. So it has an entry logic board or template, and it has an exit logic template as well. So I'm going to set this to entry. I guess it really doesn't matter, but I'll hit OK. And back over here, so my entry logic for this template is gonna, and I named these entries and exits. So you can give this whatever name you want. I would typically, when I'm doing a one-on-one session with somebody, I usually name these what the name of their system is, so it kind of makes sense to you. But since these are simple systems, I just name them entry and exits. And then this next section, or this next section, specify exit logic. Since this system has an exit logic, I'm going to set it to true. And now I can put the exit template listed there. And I'm going to just leave the thresholds the same. And because this has an entry and an exit, I'm not going to use the profit and target and stop loss. So if you leave these to 0, that means that no profit target and no stop loss will be used. So leave those at 0, and the system will not use a stop loss or a profit target. And right now, so when you're running within the strategy analyzer, you have to tell it what bar types to use or what chart type to use. So when you run a strategy on the chart, obviously you already have the type of bar or the time frame that you're using. But in the strategy analyzer, you have to go in and tell it. So let's we'll just run this on a tick chart. And so once again, this was the CL. So I'm going to set that a little lower. And then you can specify the date range of which you want to run this. And just for the sake of speed, I'll just have it run for a month and a half. That way it won't take too long in building this, the bars up. And for session template, I'm going to run it 24 hours a day, and I'm going to include commissions. Just so you know, you do have to manually go and set your commissions up. And so once again, there's a NinjaTrader has training webinars on how to do this, or you can look in the help documentation. And these settings, you can just leave them the same. Historical fill process, you know, I'm just going to run, just use the default. Yeah, well, okay, since I'm running this on 24/7, I'm going to change this one thing where exit on close. Now, most likely, if you're ever running a live system, your broker probably won't allow you to hold your trade past the market close. And all right, so everything looks good enough here. So then once you have everything set, hit the run back test. And so NinjaTrader has to build the chart first, or it has to build the bars. And then once it's done building the bars, it'll run the back testing. And there we go. Oh, looks like it didn't take any trades. Yeah, if we look at the trades, yeah, there's no trades. Okay. Let's see, what did I do here? Alright, let me just make sure I've got an instrument selected. And I'm going to run it again. There we go. Okay. So, it just didn't remember the instrument I had selected before. Alright, and there's the strategy report. And if you want to, you can click on the chart tab, and it will generate the chart for you and mark your trades. So, let's look at the summary. So, all right, took quite a number of trades. Check my exits. And there's my exits. Trying to see why the trades aren't being marked. The trades should be marked on here. Alright, there are some trades being marked. And yeah. So there we can go through, we can see all the trades that are being marked. Oh, hey, here we go. Let's cut in here and just to show you one of the trades happening here. So we can see on the CL, we got a signal. And then on this chart over here, we can see our stop is down here. And our profit target is up here. And it looks like we're in a pretty good downtrend. So who knows if this was a good trade or not. But, well, hey, we're at break even. So let's see if we get a pretty good pullback. Get our target hit. And, yeah, the CL is a tricky instrument. Using a 10 tick stop is very tight for the CL. So, you know, as you can see by looking at these bars, the CL is pretty volatile. So, let me change my grid system here. Put it on 10 ticks. So there, you know, my stop is set to 10 ticks, which is, you know, one of these grids, horizontal grid lines. And you can see a lot of these, you know, with the 4, better Renko, you know, a lot of these bars are, I mean, this bar right here is 10 ticks long. So, well, no, it would be 10 ticks. How about, let's see, 9 ticks. Yeah. All right, so we can keep an eye on that, and let me pull the strategy analyzer back over here. And so using the strategy analyzer, just like the chart, allows you to kind of scroll through, look at your system. It'll give you a graph of your equity curve. And, so it looks like on this day something happened. Maybe that was a Friday. No, that's not. No, it's running for 30 days. Not sure what happened there. So it's the 5th. This is the 9th. So maybe this is the 7th or 8th. So I can scroll through here and I'm going to try and find when it stops trading. So, well, let me kind of show you, explain something here. So you can see that right here, I have just my entries marked, and I can easily change over to my exits and have the exits marked. Well,
Order filled.
oh, there we go. Cool, we got the profit target hit. Hey, all right, lucky yes. Well, I thought it was going to switch over to the exits. Maybe that's not possible in the strategy analyzer. Take a look in the Bloodhound window. All right. So there's the exits. And well, I guess I'm going to check on this with Jeremy. Maybe this was a slight limitation of using the strategy analyzer. Wow, that was a good run. Holy smokes. Well, I could just keep going through these, but you know, I have like a month and a half of data loaded. So to kind of get back on some of the benefits of using the strategy analyzer versus using a chart is, you know, I ran this right now on the CL, And so if I wanted to just run this on the NASDAQ on the NQ, I just switch over to the NQ and bring the backtest slider back open and run the test. And so NinjaTrader is building the bars to build the chart, and then it will run its backtest on it. And while that's doing that, let me just kind of show you here. Yep. So there we go. The trade showed up on this chart, and this chart over here allowed us to actually see the profit and stop flags. So, Let me see if I can find another instrument that has some more movement today. Let's see. Wow, the euro and the dollar is just flat today. Looks like the ES is pretty flat. Oh, gold. There we go. Gold's moving today. So let me put this on gold. All right, there's quite a few trades. All right, so I have this on gold. So maybe we'll get some trades out of that. So, all right, so the strategy analyzer is done here. Take a look at the summary, and oh, what happened? All right, let me select the NQ again and run the back test again. There we go. Okay. Well, once again, pretty typical results for a very simple system. So, but once again, if you want to, you can look at all the trades on your chart here to analyze your system and hopefully improve it. And once again, we can look at the equity curve. Kind of crazy. Since this is a crossover system, we're probably on these up days. These are probably days when there's a good trend going, and so we're getting huge profits on a long trend. And then with crossover strategies, usually their Achilles heel are flat days where the market's just kind of range bound and it's just oscillating up and down. You just get chopped up. And that's probably what these down days are on the equity curve.
Hey, Zach, I just may interrupt for a quick second there.
Yep.
The reason why your chart didn't update when you were trying to select the different logic templates is that you've just got if you go back to your chart, sorry, your backtest settings. If you just open that up for a quick second on the right hand side, yeah. So in there, NinjaTrader's got an option to set the maximum bars look back to 256. And basically that's an optimization. So if you have that set to 256, it will only update. So actually it was switching. You just couldn't see it because it was only updating the last 256 bars, and I think you were much further back than that. So if you were to switch it, then you can switch it to infinite. It will update the entire time frame. Just be aware, folks. If you're going to do that, there might be some lag when you're muddling around with these charts, because there could be a tremendous amount of data that's loaded into your system. But if you just need to see the last 256 bars, then I'd recommend just keeping it there, just because it'll speed your system up.
Yeah, thank you, Jeremy. I knew it was something simple I was overlooking. That's right. Yeah, so we can see that on the entries. It's showing me the entries, and so now if I show the exits, it switches to the exits. Yeah, so I was back about 30 or 40 days when I was trying to switch from exits to entries, and that's why it wasn't updating. So, good point. So what Jeremy was talking about is this setting right here, and this was a new feature of Ninja version 7. They put this in here because the previous version 6.5 didn't have this option. It was set to infinite, and for people who might have 100 days loaded on their chart, essentially it was a huge memory hog. So you would have 100 days worth of data that NinjaTrader had to hold in memory, along with all the indicator data. And most systems didn't need to look back more than 256 bars. So that's why they built this option. So if I set this to infinite, essentially your indicator data, NinjaTrader will hold the indicator data for the whole chart, going all the way back to the beginning of the chart. Oh, well, that was quick. Shoot, entry, and so let's see. So the bot, and then the price went up a little bit, which pulled the trailing stop. All right, so let's see if price goes back up, and we can watch the trailing stop update in real time. So we can see that our stop here is only about 5 ticks, and that's because price moved up about 5 ticks, which pulled the trailing stop up.
Yeah, just if you guys aren't clear why Zach's got a second chart open with the flags there, NinjaTrader doesn't allow us, or doesn't allow any strategy that's running on a chart to actually display the stop and profit targets. Yeah, exactly the flag. So what he's done there, all you have to do is just simply open up a second chart. Can be in fact any time frame. It doesn't really matter as long as it's the same instrument there. So he's got the CL 812, and he's actually.
Did you see the stop? The stop is trailing here. See, so there's the stop trailing, and hopefully it'll hit a target. So, well, I don't think the stop's going to trail anymore until it hits the profit target. Yeah. And I can go in here, and I think I can modify this. Let's see.
Order filled.
Oh, yeah, came down and tagged our stop. Very typical of the CL, 10 ticks, pretty tight for a stop.
Yeah, just beware, folks, if you're actually updating, you can actually update the trailing and stop prices. But the automated trading strategy will attempt to recorrect them. So if you moved your trailing stop or your stops around, generally by the next tick, and certainly by the next bar close, NinjaTrader will go in there and say, that's not where the stop should be, and it'll reposition it. So that's typically what an automated trading strategy is, though, is you let it run, let the computer handle and manage the trade. So again, if you're not into that, the more typical use of Bloodhound is simply to take your entries on a manual basis and manage your stops and profit targets using a manual method instead.
All right. Well, let me pull Strategy Analyzer back up here, and hopefully we'll get some more trades going. Shoot, I was really hoping gold would have some more price action here, but we'll see. All right, so with that little tip that Jeremy gave us, in setting the maximum bars look back period to infinite, then if I scroll all the way back to the beginning of the chart. Now I can switch this over to exits, and it's going to take a minute probably. And
Zach, you might have to actually rerun the back test
yeah, I was just
yeah.
thinking that. So let me rerun it.
Just beware, folks. There's another sort of
Exits.
if you're,
There we go.
typically what you would do is you can use this this mode here and fiddle around with your system. But actually, Zach, why don't you open up that backtest tab for 1 second there? Now, NinjaTrader actually, if you look at the template setting there, it says yeah, exactly, right just above there, the template that you've selected. That actually is not connected to your chart in terms of, like, if you were to take your open up the Bloodhound interface in your chart and fiddle around with the settings there, those changes will not be reflected in your signal your template until you save it. Okay, so just be aware that if you just make changes here like this, it's not actually connected. So what I'm getting at is just make sure when you're happy and you're done, just save your template, and then if you want to be super cautious, just reload it on this side. Testing is revealed you don't have to actually reload it, but saving it for sure is what you have to do, because it's a little confusing, but unfortunately, but it's just that the template that's on your chart is not connected, so to speak, with the template that's being specified with the strategy analyzer.
So, in other words, it's two different instances of Bloodhound. So, all right. So this Bloodhound window, I pulled from the strategy from the strategy analyzer, and you can see it doesn't have the bar direction loaded in it, and that's because what you see on the chart is a different instance of Bloodhound versus the one that NinjaTrader loaded for this backtesting, right? So this instance of Bloodhound is a different instance than what you're seeing here on the chart. All right, so if I click the one on the chart here, click that button, we can see that here this bar direction, shows back up. But if I go over here and go to this instance of Bloodhound, you'll see that the bar direction solver doesn't show up. So that's that's what Jeremy's trying to point out. So let me bring up the one on the chart. So if I modify the one on the chart, what I need to do is save it, and then I can go back to the instance here in the backtest and open the Bloodhound window back up, and I will have to reload it. So I can go back down here, find it, load it, and there we go. So once I've reloaded it, then it'll have the modified version. And so once again, if I delete it off of this one and click OK, you notice I didn't save it. I click OK and then bring this one up, you'll see it's still on there. That's right. So if I want to modify this one, I have to go back to the backtest one, bring up the window, bring up the Bloodhound window. You can see it's missing. What I have to do is I have to save it, right? And then I have to open this one up.
So yeah, just remember, Zach,
right,
that
this is
one.
real-time
Yeah.
mode, so right. So because we're working in the strategy analyzer, let's see here. Oh, okay, there we go. Yeah, so I have to bring up the indicator window, and from here, this is what we call real-time mode. So this real-time mode with the chart on there allows me to reload the template. So it's been quite a while since I worked with the strategy analyzer, so I'm going to get myself up to speed again. And so there, here I can load the crossover template, and there we go. Now it's still there. Maybe I didn't save it. Let me just make sure I saved it. It's missing. All right. Save it. All right. Bring up the indicator window, and then bring up the Bloodhound template window, and scroll down here. Select my strategy. There we go. Now it's gone. All right, so just to recap, so the Bloodhound that's on the chart with this button is a separate instance from Bloodhound that's being run in the backtester. And so with, just to recap again, with maximum bars look back set to infinite, I can go in here and now changing my template works all the way back at the beginning of the chart. It's no longer limited to the 256 bars. So let's see, what time is it? All right, I'm going to run through one of the strategies that we have up on the website that you have to download and manually import into NinjaTrader. So let me, let's see, I'll use this chart here. So I'm going to go into the strategies, and I'm going to remove this one. Yeah, there's two strategies that we have up on the website. The SI Bloodhound strategy example, and then example 2. So let's see. The example doesn't have much to it. It's really kind of it's a base one for kind of writing your own custom code if you already know how to write your own NinjaScript code, and you have a very customized strategy that you want to implement for coding your own. Now the example 2 has some basic components to it. You can see it has a entry logic and an exit logic, just like Raven does. And there's one that's going to be coming out with Bloodhound version 106. So this is kind of a sneak peek. Is the ATM, the SI Bloodhound ATM example, and this added on the chart here. This allows you to specify your own ATM that you may have written. So let me see if I can bring up a. So actually, I need to close this out so I could bring up a dynamic DOM.
Actually, Zach, just for the benefit of those people that may not be familiar with an ATM, could you describe what exactly the NinjaTrader ATM is?
Uh-oh. Jeremy, I lost your audio.
Sorry. I was just going to say, for those of you that aren't familiar with the NinjaTrader ATM, the NinjaTrader allows you to create kind of a trade management plan using their interface, and it allows you to be a little more sophisticated than just setting your trail stop and profit targets. So you can actually do things like you could layer, um, you know, uh, you can maybe take some contracts off when certain targets are hit. Maybe you could move the stop up, after a certain amount of profit has been realized. So the NinjaTrader ATM is a little more sophisticated, than say just placing your stop and your profit target. So if you're already familiar with this with ATMs and you've been using it, or if you haven't but you'd like to take advantage of some of these more advanced trade management features, this again is all built right into NinjaTrader, and you can take the ATM strategy that maybe you've designed and maybe have been trading with before. Of course, we recommend you test these out and thoroughly use them before you actually just incorporate them with an automated trading strategy. So for example, Zach's got their BHT 15-S10. That's his own ATM strategy that he's designed and just saved within NinjaTrader. You can take these strategies and you can eventually, with Bloodhound 1.06, we're going to allow you to use them as your trade management. So it's sort of stepping up the trade management capability a little bit.
All right, so yeah, so I brought up the dynamic DOM here to kind of show my ATM strategy that I had already built. Once again, if you're not familiar with an ATM, NinjaTrader has a workshop dedicated to using the Super DOM, and they also demonstrate how to build ATM strategies. And I'm sure they have video tutorials up on their YouTube page. Just something to note in in my testing this out here, I noticed that when you name your strategy, you don't want to use any spaces or any symbols. So you see this one has a hyphen in it. So what I did is I built another one without the hyphen. So when you name it, you want to give it a name without any spaces or any hyphens, or no underscores, no symbols of any kind, just letters and numbers only with no spaces. So the naming convention is kind of important here. So for some reason it seems that it just creates issues with Ninja. So this strategy has the T is for the profit target, which is 15 ticks, and then S10 is for the 10-tick stop loss. And then I have a stop strategy, which essentially it's a trailing. This is a trailing stop strategy set. And so with that up, let me add the strategy on here.
Hey Zach, maybe just
this one.
why don't you show your ATM run by itself? Like just do a quick buy or sell, so people can see what the ATM is that you've got there is designed to do.
All right, let's see. Well, looks like we might get a good pullback. I'm going against the trend here, but just try and go long here. Is it gonna pick me up? Maybe not. Come on.
Order filled.
There we go. And let's see. All right, so we can see the ATM running on both this chart, because I have the chart trader turned on here, and we can see it running in the super column. And well, the price is going to do something here. Essentially, when the way I have this strategy set up is once the price gets up to 10 ticks of profit, it's going to start trailing my stop. Actually, I kind of have a naming convention. So BE is for break even. So when the profit gets to 10 ticks, my stop is going to move to break even, and then I have +1, which stands for +1 tick of profit. So I have a break even to 10 and then +1 tick of profit. So now we just need price to kind of move in our favor. Well, you know what they say, don't fight the trend. Well, okay, while we're waiting for this to work itself out, I'm going to go through and add that strategy onto the chart here. Right, so remove that. And once again, this is going to be this is a sneak peek to version 1.06. So this strategy, this ATM strategy, is not available now. And what I'm going to do is in the ATM template name, put in the name of the template. And then, so this is the ATM template. Now I need to put in the Bloodhound template. And let's see, I'm running the Stochastics MA strategy. So scroll down here to the signal strategies. So it's Stochastics MA, load that up. All right, and okay, I do have an entry logic there. Okay, so I have my template selected, and you can see that when I had the Bloodhound window open, you'll notice that this one doesn't have the option to select an entry logic template. So how I selected it, and this is subject to change when this actually comes out. But the way I selected my entry logic is I selected it here just by setting the name here, by selecting my logic template from the pull-down name. So that's how I set this logic template to be the active entry logic. And you can see the name shows up right here. And let's see, I'm going to change the account. Put it back on the Bloodhound account. And need to enable this. And I'm just going to use all the default settings. And once again, just to kind of explain what's going on for anybody that's new, because we're using an ATM strategy, there's no stop or profit target selectable here because it's already defined in your ATM. Right? It's already defined in your ATM through your profit target and your stop loss here. That's what your ATM does. Yeah, right, so everything, let's see. Everything looks good. Hit OK. And I think I need to go, oh, that's right. It's because we're running an ATM strategies, you can't backtest an ATM strategy. So that's one of the limitations of NinjaTrader. So even though you can see I have the text markers turned on, you can see that the trades don't show up on the chart. That's because you cannot backtest a ATM strategy historically. You also, with the, where did I put the strategy analyzer? All right. Just looking for my strategy analyzer here. There we go. Okay. And so once again, what you can't, NinjaTrader doesn't allow you to backtest a strategy that uses an ATM strategy within it. So you can't use, the strategy analyzer to try and backtest your system with an ATM strategy either. All right. So if you're running, if you're running this strategy with the ATM in it, it all has to be done live. So you may be able to. Hey, there we go. Cool. We got an oil trade set up here. You could ask the folks at NinjaTrader if you can use Market Replay to try and backtest your strategy that uses an ATM. Historically, maybe it might work on Market Replay.
Order filled.
And what happened here? Oh, well, that was quick. Why a pullback there? Oh well. But at least with that trailing stop, we didn't take the full stop loss. It looks like price moved up about 4 ticks from our entry. So we didn't take the full 10-tick stop loss. Let's see. Took a 6-tick, yeah. So it looks like gold has stopped moving on us. It's just range bound there. Shoot. Let me try and find another market. Maybe the NQ has a little more movement in it. Let's see. I'm going to just go long here in the market. So I could switch this over to the NQ.
One of the many benefits of automating trading is, once you've gained more experience with it and feel more comfortable with your automated trading strategies, you can actually run a couple of them at the same time. Have the computer look after your trades. It's very difficult, basically as a human, to manage, like say, even two or three trades simultaneously. But most certainly, if you've got your trade plan all worked out already, using NinjaTrader's ATM, or you just know where your stops and profit targets are using SI Raven, you could, in theory, have a couple of them on at the same time and basically let them run. So that's a great advantage, of course, of using automated trading, which I guess is the lure of having the computer manage it for you. And so that nice ka-ching sound, that's another nice little NinjaTrader feature. But every time the ATM moves the trailing stop up, yeah, it gives you a little ka-ching, so it kind of lets you know that you're in the money.
Order filled.
Hey, there we go. Now the gold is moving. Huh. Looks like there's some news coming out, because boy, things are really erratic. Yeah, I bet you some news came out, because boy, the gap on gold here is pretty bad. Wow. And let's hit the stop. But shoot.
It also comes to mind.
NQ. Go ahead, Jeremy.
Sorry about that, Zach. Yeah, I was going to say, folks, if you are trading your a strategy fully automated, definitely one of the things we recommend, NinjaTrader recommends as well, is don't leave it on and just walk away from your machine. There's always those things that you may not account for, like a news announcement or something to that effect. And you want to be by your computer so that when something like that does happen, and you haven't built that kind of contingency into your system, you at least be able to just shut your strategy off. And Zach, actually, why don't you bring up the NinjaTrader control panel there and show people how you can shut them off really quick.
Yeah,
so right
on
there,
this strategy tab, you can see there's an enable and disable, so you can just click on the box there and it disables it. Click on the other one, disables it. Alright, so you can see the strategies are still on the chart. They're just disabled right now. So you can click back in the box and see if I can get them going, because gold is tanking. So maybe we can watch this thing trade for us. Wow, yeah, there's... wonder if some bad news came out of Europe or something. It's 12 o'clock. European market had already closed.
well, people in the chat are saying it's the
There must be some
FOMC minutes.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah, definitely don't want to trade during that. All right. Well, folks, it's 12 o'clock our time, so this workshop has gone off for an hour and a half, and I hope that gave you a pretty good preview of running a strategy and using SI Raven. And I think we may expand upon this for a little bit on our next workshop. I'm sure that it's probably going to be a lot of common questions people have, and so if that's the case, we'll kind of cover those questions during our next workshop. For those people who didn't ask the question but were thinking it, so all right. So I'll wrap it up there, and Jeremy, if you have anything else, it's all yours.
Oh, thanks, Zach. No, this is our, we've always had the ability, again, before to do auto trading. It's just that, like as Zach and I mentioned before, you just simply had to download our strategy examples from the website and maybe had to fiddle around a little bit with the Ninja scripting code. But 1.05 now introduces, again, SI Raven, which you just saw, which allows you to auto trade straight out of the box. And so we're always making little changes and additions for you guys, just based off your feedback and what we hear from you. So going on a little bit about feedback, we're both extremely interested to know, if there's certain things and whatnot you'd like to see in Bloodhound. Please voice your opinion. We do look at all suggestions. And the way you can do that is if you go to our website, and actually, maybe I'll just steal the screen real quick so I can show you guys where that is. So let me just make myself the presenter here. Okay, folks, sorry about that. Let me just show you exactly on the website where it is. All right, so I'm just bringing up the web browser, and I'm going to go to our website. And hopefully you guys can see what I've got here. But if you just go to the support here, okay, you can click on this button up here, or you can click here. It's the same thing, and it will bring up a. We're now using Zendesk, and if you scroll down to the bottom here, you just need an account, and you know it's up here on the top right. Right, right now I'm logged in, but you know, certainly there'll be a little login button there, and that actually will redirect you back to our site to either create a new account or just to log in. And then you might have to just go through and click the support button again. But basically right here under feature requests, okay, you know, don't be afraid to just click on it there, and all you do is just, once you click on it, you'll see a little button there. It says suggest an idea. And you know, again, we look at all of these, and you know, we're always very interested to see what you've got to suggest. So just go ahead and throw something up there if you have an idea. Or you know, an improvement that we can make, and you know, we'll work hard to see how we can incorporate popular requests into the next versions. So you know, again, this SI Raven came about from you guys in terms of, you know, your feedback, and you know, we look forward to continue to do that. So don't hesitate to tell us what you want. So with that, thanks guys, and you know, seeing a lot of comments in there, and saying that you're pretty happy with SI Raven in terms of what, you know, what the direction we're going with it. So I'm glad we're all heading in the right direction. You know, so if you guys have anything more, just you can reach us there, and otherwise, you guys have yourself a great day, and hopefully
Just a sec, Jeremy. Kumar asked a question, you know, is there a free trial of Raven? Just to clarify, Raven is included with Bloodhound. So most of you all should have received an email notifying you that, you know, Bloodhound is up to 105A now. So just go to the website, download the latest update, and that will include Raven with it. So, all right. So just wanted to clarify that for everybody. So, all right, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll get this recording up on the website within a couple of days. Okay. Thank you.